Hey everybody, my name's Jason. I'm 53 years old. I have cancer that's prostate cancer that's metastasized to my spine, and on this channel we talk about it. Good morning. I am just waking up. It's what time is it? 9:34 on Thursday morning. But the date is what's important here. It's June 27th, 2024. Today is the 1 year anniversary of when I got my biopsy results back. Today's 1 year. Today is 1 year that since it was confirmed that I had cancer. Up until today, this date 1 year ago, it was all guessing, and there was a lot of, well, you're young, it's not likely. But the results came back, and intermediate aggressive, and even today, even on this date a year ago, we didn't know it had spread to my spine. So the diagnosis was just the prostate cancer, Gleason 7, 4+3. Those numbers matter when you're going through this and you're learning about how to talk about it, how to work with your doctors, and how, when you're in the support groups and you're figuring out how bad it is and what your treatment paths are. You start learning all these numbers. I did a whole video on Gleason score, perineural invasion, all these things that you start to hear about. And that's where, oh yeah, you got to see this view. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm traveling for work, so I'm down in Red Wing, Minnesota, and I'm staying at the St. James Hotel, so I got a view looking out over the water and the train station. Here's the thing about train stations: when you stay next to a train station, you get trains about every 2 to 3 hours, all night long. Anyway. Yeah. So when I heard this, when I got the news, so a lot of us use MyChart or something similar where you get the results of your tests before you talk to a doctor. I like that. I like not having to wait, because that's anxiety inducing, not having to wait to talk to it. If you have to wait to talk to a doctor, and it might be a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks before you get an appointment. So I like the test results showing up. I remember I was in conference room 206, and I was waiting on a meeting, and I got the little Gmail that popped up, said, hey, you have a new message in MyChart. And that put me kind of right into shock, because I told my boss, my manager was there, and I told him, and I don't think he knew what to do with that information. I didn't know what to do with that information yet. It's cancer. I just got the confirmation results. Yeah, and then I went through the meeting, and then I think I left early. I can't imagine staying. I think I left early, and then early. I mean, the meeting was in the late afternoon. Yeah, so I left. But here's the thing. There's lots of tests. There's lots of tests that they do to figure out what's going on when you have some discomfort down there, like I was having for riding the bike. They will do a DRE, digital rectal exam. They'll do an MRI, maybe, which may show something, but they don't know what that is. The DRE may indicate something, but they won't know what it is. So you can get a lot of tests done that indicate there's something, but you won't know whether or not it is cancer until you do the biopsy. So when do you do a biopsy? Well, you want to do it early enough that you're catching it before it spreads. Because though it's not a high risk, doing a biopsy does put you at risk for spreading it into your bloodstream, spreading the cancer. If they, kick cancer and it's open, there is some risk. It's not a big risk though. It's risk versus reward. Finding out whether or not you have cancer is definitely worth the risk of possibly inducing it into your bloodstream and maybe later on down the road having spread. But where was I headed with this? The definitive diagnostic test is the biopsy. Now, you don't want to go doing a bunch of unnecessary biopsies. That's what was going on way back. It's 2024 now. Before 2019, they'd some number of years before 2019, maybe it was 2013, 2014, 2015, somewhere in there, 2009 to 2019, maybe for 10 years, the government got involved and said, hey, we're harming people by doing too many unnecessary biopsies. And so they set standards on doing biopsies that reduced that diagnostic tool. They stopped doing biopsies on men that needed biopsies. Now, that's because, if your PSA is normally, and you should get your PSA checked every year. You should get it checked every year. You should trend that number because it's the trend that matters. Some men walk around with a normal PSA of 2 or 3 or 4, and some men have a normal PSA of less than 1.0. And when it's whatever your normal number is, you got to establish that. Get 2 years, 3 years of data, and then you have your normal. And then when you get a rise in that, then you check. You say, okay, was I riding a bike in the last week? Did I have sex in the last week? And when I say last week, I mean within 3 or 4 days of the test. Did I do anything? Did I lift something heavy with my legs that would have put pressure down there? Did you do anything that may have caused a rise in your PSA? And if the answer to that is no, then you've got a rise, and you need time to start talking about doing a biopsy. If you had some activity, then you wait a week or a month and you get another PSA test. And you make sure you didn't do those activities before you do that PSA test. Yeah. Because there is a thing called active surveillance. Active surveillance is an option. A lot of men do it. And now you don't get a Gleason score until you've done a biopsy. So, yeah, there's a balance there. That's the point of this is there's a balance in the diagnostic path where if they feel something on the DRE, digital rectal exam, or they do a scan of some type, maybe an MRI, and see something, at some point they're going to put you in for a biopsy. And that's what I was talking about. And up until 2019, they weren't doing those biopsies, even if they were warranted. And that caused a lot of men led a lot of men towards unnecessary deaths. I'll just say it plainly, because they weren't getting diagnosed until it was too late to do any curative treatment. And even the palliative treatment there was not it was so late that they couldn't do a lot of palliative treatment to extend life, which sucks. It's frustrating. And in that diagnostic path, so in 2019 they came out and said, oh, we were wrong. And now your diagnostic path will usually be a digital rectal exam, ask for an MRI before a biopsy. You want an MRI guided biopsy. You want an MRI before the biopsy, okay? Now, if you're watching this, you've probably already been through this. This is probably not new information for you. So, yeah. When you talk to your friends, when you promote awareness of this, when you're saying, hey, go get checked, and you're following up with them. Hey, did you go to the doctor? Did they have any concerns? encourage them to get an MRI before the biopsy. Okay, you don't want a blind biopsy. So I have an uncle that's got prostate cancer, and he had a blind biopsy, and they went in and did 12 cores. I think they did 12 cores, came back negative. And his doctor, thankfully said, this doesn't support my DRE, into what I found on the DRE. So they went in again and did another biopsy and came back with positive cores. So it was just by luck that those first 12 cores never touched cancer. And the second time they did. So with an MRI guided biopsy, you'll hit the cancer. Okay? You'll hit the nodule, whatever is showed up on the scan. Yeah. So what's happened in the last year? Let's get this. I'm starting to babble too much. What's happened in the last year? A lot. So this time, June 27th, 2023, I got the biopsy results. Within a week or two, I was talking to the urologist about surgery, because the urologists get paid a lot of money to do that surgery. They make bank on that surgery. So they're going to say, let's do the surgery. It's what they're good at. It's what they know how to do. And they don't want to necessarily give you any opportunity to do something else like radiation, which they don't make any money at. Your radiation oncologist makes money at that. They don't make that much. So there's always a big push for surgery. There's risks. There's risks with both radiation and surgery. So make sure you're looking at those risks. There's many guys that say, hey, I had the surgery and I'm fine. There's as many out there that say, I wish I hadn't done it. Okay? So, and there's an effect. I forget the name of this effect. We tend to come across the information that supports our own bias, our own belief system. Whatever we believe, whatever we want to happen, we tend to come across the information that supports that. And so if you think going into it that surgery is your best option, you're going to come across information that supports that, whether it's the Facebook groups you go to, the information you're reading and remembering. So try and be as objective as possible. And then what happened? July, what happened in July? July, I had three scans. I had a CT scan with contrast. I had 3 scans. In July, I had a CT scan with contrast. I had a bone scan, and then I had a PSMA PET scan. And I also had a biopsy on my L1, because two of the 3 of those scans lit up my L1 vertebrae on my spine, and also a little thing on the rib that turned out to, I don't know. Now I'm just guessing. This is just guessing, but I think the thing on my rib, the spot on my rib, was probably a small met maybe, but it was so small they weren't going to look at any direct treatment, so they just kind of blew it off. And I won't know. Sorry for the cough. I got sick this week. I actually had to call out yesterday. I was just miserable. I had a bad cough. I was chilled, fever. Our immune system, I'm getting off track. Our immune system is degraded when we're on treatment. And travel is risk. You're putting yourself at risk for getting sick easier when you're on treatment. And I got sick. So I recovered. I spent 11 hours and 16 minutes sleeping. Well, that's deep sleep. 11 hours, 16 minutes of deep sleep yesterday. And worked on recovery. So I'm feeling better this morning. I may not look or sound like it, but I am feeling way better. Anyway, treatment, so we did the PSMA PET scan. We did the bone biopsy on my L1. And that came back positive as a metastatic tumor. So it was prostate cancer in my spine. And it was aggressive. It was way more aggressive than the cancer in my prostate. And the cancer in my prostate was intermediate aggressive. So they got right on it right away. I saw a radiation oncologist, and he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to triple treat you. We're going to do, he says, my plan is to do hormone therapy, radiation, and chemo. The radiation oncologist said hormone treatment and radiation, and I'm going to refer you to a medical oncologist to talk about chemo. And then, excuse me, sorry about that. And then I saw the medical oncologist, and he went over the results, and he said with only the one MET that was major, he didn't recommend chemo. So my radiation oncologist was all about going after it as hard as we can with everything, throw everything at it. My medical oncologist was like, well, if we don't need to, we can save the chemo for later. And so I had to make a decision, and that's what a lot of this is we get put in positions where we have to make decisions. And we're not doctors. I'm not a doctor. How do I make a decision? I'm making uninformed decisions. During that time, I was making uninformed decisions, which is a huge part of why I'm sharing so much of all this, because I don't like the idea of the spot I was in where I was making uninformed decisions. And it was challenging, because you're just trying to scrape information from the internet. And that's not research. What a time. But I did it. I made my decision. I opted not to do the chemo, and I went with radiation treatment and hormone therapy. I do abiraterone, which is Zytiga, and I do Lupron, Leoptide, I don't know what it is, shot every 3 months. And in addition to that, I did 20-something doses of radiation to my prostate, and I did 5 doses to my spine. Those doses to my spine were high. We went after it hard. And so let's fast forward. I recently had some back problems. I've got the 3 herniated discs, a slip disc, and I had a fractured L1 vertebrae. My back's doing a lot better, especially with the rest I'm getting. Because travel is hard. Travel is hard on your spine. If you've got herniated discs, if you've been out there with back problems, man, just sitting upright sucks. But I'm doing okay right now. Anyway, I did a biopsy on my spine again, and that biopsy came back saying there was no active cancer in that L1. So that radiation therapy, the hormone therapy worked together to at least put it to, whether it's gone or dead, I don't know. Whether it's just in stasis, I don't know. But it's not active. No active malignancy. So that's good. This stuff works. This treatment works. And I'm assuming that that's the same as what's going on in my prostate. It was a less aggressive tumors down there. So presumably we killed that off too. Am I cured? No, I'm not cured. With the metastatic, it's in my bloodstream. It's traveled through my body, hit the cancer, and I'm in palliative care. Now, if we somehow do more scans, and there's continued shrinkage of the tumor, or the tumors disappear, and I don't have active cancer while not having treatment for 5 years, then I'm considered cured. Well, to not have to go 5 years without treatment, I have to stop my hormone therapy, and my medical team is currently saying that's not an option. But once again, that's a decision we have to make. We have to make an informed decision. And it's not an informed decision, it's an uninformed decision. I've got to decide whether I'm going to stop the treatment that might be keeping my cancer. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I stop the treatment and find out that the cancer's dead and gone, and my body's been cleaning it up. The diet stuff has been working. My diet choices, my trying to do, I got a can of tomato paste sitting over on the dresser. I stopped at the store when I got here and I bought a can opener and 6 cans of tomato paste, and every day I open a can of tomato paste and eat a can of tomato paste. That lycopene, I read that in Sweden, eating tomato paste is, getting that lycopene is considered part of their treatment plan. So, yeah. I do the mushroom coffee, even if it's not helping with the cancer, it is helping my cognitive ability, which you can kind of see I can feel a difference right now because I don't have it with me. I didn't bring it. I forgot to pack it. And so this is me a week without the mushroom coffee. That stuff helps with your cognitive ability. There's 2 out there I do. I use both Ryze, R-Y-Z-E, which is coffee, mushroom coffee. But the other one that I actually like a little more is Mudwater, MUD/WTR, and it's not coffee. It's a chai tea. It doesn't have the same effects of coffee, that spike and that downside. And it uses tea. Tea is more beneficial for us than coffee. And so I'm feeling the effects of not having that. Whether it's helping with the cancer, did it help with where I'm at right now? I don't know. Melatonin. Doing melatonin is helping me get sleep, which is helping me heal. Melatonin itself has components in it which may help heal. So I started off doing the 5 milligrams, then I went to 10 milligrams, and I went to 12, and I've upped it to 24. I'm doing 24 milligrams of melatonin every night. I bought 12 milligram pills, and I'm doing 2 of those every night. How do you pick out what's helped and what's not? I don't know. All right, this turned into way longer than I wanted. I just wanted to give you an update. I wanted to have a video commemorating 1 year from my diagnosis because, up until this day a year ago, it was just guesses. Well, we don't think. Well, probably not. Well, maybe not. Stop riding the bike for a while. Okay. That turned into a long while. But, all right. I just wanted to pop on and say hey and get a little anniversary commemorative video. Been 1 year since diagnosis, official diagnosis. Talk to your friends. When you meet men that are in that 45 age range or older, talk to them. Tell them, hey, get your PSA checked. Get it checked every year and trend that number. It's important. You may save lives. More and more men are getting this. All right? All right. Take care. Love you all.